afternoon, everybody, on this fine Monday morning or afternoon, dependent upon where you are. I guess it is afternoon in California, too. So if you're watching us in Hawaii, good morning. Alanna, Rizzo, Clint, Pasillas, live on this Dodgers Territory episode, talking all things your Los Angeles Dodgers. Thanks for being here, you guys. Like us, rate us 5 stars, subscribe. Please. Right here on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget, another way to support us is by buying the Dodgers Territory merch. The shop is open. Visit DodgersTerritoryShop.com or click the store button here on YouTube. Support the show in style. You're not only supporting Dodgers Territory, but you're supporting myself as well as Clint. Big show today. A lot to talk about. Jack Harris, Dodgers beat writer for the LA Times, will be joining us momentarily. Always appreciate Jack's time and his insight. A lot to get into. The Dodgers salvaged the series against the Padres. Let's get into the big ticket.
Let's do it.
Okay, so there's a couple of things. I don't want this to just be a bitch fest, right? I don't want to be like, oh, the Dodgers are terrible, or when they sweep the Padres, oh, the Dodgers are great. Like, let's bring it down a little bit more brass tacks in terms of what they did well, Clint, and what they didn't do well. What is your biggest thing in terms of opportunities missed and things that you liked that you saw over the course of the series, particularly yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, course of the series, you got to like the pitching. Dodgers pitching, starting pitching for the greater part was very good. I have some things to say. I have some concerns when it comes to Tyler Glasnow. I've been having some arguments with folks online about that a little bit. But for the greater part, Blake Snell shoved. Yamamoto shoved. The bullpen was really good outside of when they were pressed into extended duty because of Tyler Glasnow on Saturday. Offense continues to be consistently inconsistent, but I very much loved what we saw Sunday afternoon. Dalton Rushing breaking out with the biggest hit of his career so far. Freddie Freeman putting the team on his back with a couple of dingers. You have to like that kind of stuff. I know, breaking news there. But still, the Dodgers lost 2 of 3 and are tied with the Padres at the top of the NL West. And it seems to me like people are kind of okay with it. Where are you at with the Dodgers taking 2 or 3?
I'm not kind of okay with it, and I'll tell you why. And again, I don't want this just to be like, oh, a bitch session. That's not what this is. Let's be like critical, but let's be smart in our critique in terms of the things that we need to take away from the series about what needs to be better. I had a conversation with Rick Krajewski, who obviously does the research for Sportsnet LA with Joe and Oral as well as Fox when Joe Davis is on the Fox broadcast. And I sent him a text. I said, hey, let's really talk about what they did well and what they didn't do so well. As far as, and I brought this up because I heard Joe and Oral talking about it on the broadcast. As far as being effective against the hard stuff, right? That's all the different types of fastballs you have, the cutter, those types of things. They were 7 for 58 with 3 home runs and 14 strikeouts against the hard stuff, okay? So they lacked Clint in clutch hitting, but just as much as getting opportunities with runners in scoring position. So these are the things that they needed to improve upon that I noticed over the course of this series. Only 7 at-bats with runners in scoring position in the entire series, and only 1 hit with runners in scoring position. So only 1 hit with a dude on second base, right? They got to Nick Pivetta late, but the Padres starters shut them down. That's a problem because you do not want to go into the Padres pen, okay? The Padres have the best pen in Major League Baseball, so if you can't get to the starters, that's even more problematic considering how good their pen is. Now, things that I did appreciate over the course of the series with the San Diego Padres. The Dodgers, as you mentioned, Clint, they pitched pretty well, right?
Yeah.
Only gave up 9 runs in the entire series. Really came down to that lack of consistent offense that we were talking about in the series. On the road trip, 8 or more runs scored in 3 wins, 8 total runs and 4 losses. That's a problem. 8 total runs and 4 losses. Yeah. You're basically only scoring 2 runs a game in the losses. They need more consistent, kind of like the 4 to 5 runs per game and not so many highs, not so many lows. I don't need a 10-run margin of victory, but I would like to score more than 2 runs in the losses. So those are the things that I kind of like the broad stroke brush take away from the Padres series. And again, if and when we played San Diego in the postseason, there will be games in San Diego. You know what I mean? It's not like we just play at Dodger Stadium unless it happens to be that, they're San Diego's the wild card team and we get to stay home for the entire thing. So that's my takeaway from it. San Diego is a very good team. And moreover, San Diego is not afraid of the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're not. No. But I know you want to talk about, before Jack Harris comes on the show momentarily, I know you want to talk about Tyler Glasnow. This was a moment, Clint, and I'll let you speak about it, but this was a moment in which I feel, and maybe you do too, that he needed to show us something a little bit more. Take me through your thought process.
Yeah, I mean, I understand people are going to say he didn't have the best strike zone to work with, but you can kind of adjust, you can adapt to a bad strike zone, maybe do something a little bit different. I think with Glasnow, there are moments where he's a little slow to adjust in that kind of regard, but I fully agree with you there. You needed to see something. This was, in Tyler Glasnow's tenure as a Dodger, this was his first playoff atmosphere, and I'm using very heavy air quotes on that, playoff atmosphere that he's pitched in a Dodgers uniform. And I needed to see something more out of him. Not 4 walks over 4 innings, and then you're out after 80, 90 pitches or something like that. I understand he's been very good when he's healthy in a Dodger uniform, but I need to see a little bit more out of Tyler Glasnow in a big spot, in big moments, and less of the excuses, less of, I lost my feel for the pitches or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. I just need to see Glasnow go out there and shove if he wants to be one of the top 4 dudes that is starting a game for this team in the postseason. And Riz, I'll ask you this. I mean, at this point, and this is 100% an engagement bait type of question, but Clayton Kershaw has been very good for this team. He has a ton of accolades and awards, and we love the man. And at the same time, Tyler Glasnow is hanging around and kind of one of those dudes that you expect him to get a spot in the rotation. Gun to your head, who are you putting in as your 4 starter? You going Kershaw or you going Glasnow?
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that, because I'm going to drop a name here, and I'm not trying to be that person, but I literally just had this conversation earlier today with country superstar Brad Paisley. I sent him a text. I said, how you doing? He's a massive, massive Dodger fan, right? He's performed the national anthem. He's done Clayton's, Kershaw's challenge. He's a big.
We lost her.
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, see, that's what happens when I name drop. No, that's what. Let me read you what he said. I go, just wanted to check in, say hello. How are you guys doing? Doing good. Losing years off my life from the Dodgers. I said, same. We'll be okay. Offense needs to wake up, and Scott and Yates and. He said the best thing about this season is watching Clayton be their best pitcher once again, as I fully expected he would be. I'm going with Clayton just because of the years of experience that the man has. In that arm. And I'm not to say that Tyler Glasnow is not going to be huge in the postseason. Tyler Glasnow will throw some clutch innings in the postseason. I have no doubt about that. And thank goodness, hopefully, knock on everything, that Tyler Glasnow will be healthy for this postseason, because the Dodgers obviously did not have him last year. But this is an interesting situation, right? Like, Kershaw's not going to shove it down your throat. He's not throwing 99. He's not going to absolutely blow it by you, but the man still knows how to pitch. He's not a thrower. He's a pitcher. He's not a hurler. He's a pitcher. But yeah, Kershaw, is always going to be the most competitive guy out there and give you the best outing as possible. So it's an interesting situation. We'll ask Jack Harris about his opinion as well. I do know that we have to get to a break first, though.
Yeah. It's a good problem for the Dodgers to have to pick between your 3rd or 4th starter being Tyler Glasnow or Clayton Kershaw. And again, that is a very a great question to ask Jack, along with the lineup getting better. We got to talk Kiké, Hernandez, Max Muncy, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to do that. But first, we're going to hear from us in a break, and then we'll come back and welcome Jack to the show. The dog days of summer means MLB is fully heating up, and so is your shot to score big. Download the Pick 6 app for the easiest way to turn your baseball takes into actual cash.
Simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. No gimmicks, no weird rules.
Pick 6 customers will instantly get $50 in bonus picks on just a $5 entry.
Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use the code FOUL. That's code FOUL. New customers pay $5 and get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Ride the upside where a few bucks can turn into a bag. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. 8/24/25 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
There he is. Welcome to the show. Jack Harris, of course, does a great job covering the Dodgers for the Los Angeles Times. You can also find him here on YouTube on Dodgers Debate with more of his buddies and scribes over there at the LA Times. But Jack, how you doing? Welcome to the show. We got to talk about the up and down Dodgers offense, I think, off the top. What, in your opinion, has been the biggest contributing factor to the inconsistency for this team really over the last couple of months?
I mean, there's a lot of things. Obviously, they haven't been at full strength for a lot of this. And then you've just had a lot of guys struggling mechanically or physically or just getting their swings to the place that they're usually at. You know, when you look at the track record of a lot of these players that haven't quite been there for stretches of the season, or in some guys' cases, like Mookie Betts and Teoscar Hernandez, like for most of the year. So I think that's been part of it. I think what this weekend really highlighted is that even when all of that is the case and things aren't perfect, there's still smaller stuff that this offense can do or not do when it comes to trying to win games or trying to snap out of this funk. And I think you saw that the first two nights in San Diego where, you know, Yu Darvish, I thought, pitched pretty well Friday. You know, he's still a guy, even at his stage, at the stage of the career he's at, has pretty good stuff. But, you know, they couldn't figure out a way to put pressure on him, to grind out longer at bats, to stay alive with two strikes. They made life a little too easy on him. And then Saturday, Nestor Cortez, whose stuff is not where it typically is, who was only making his fourth start coming back from, you know, this elbow injury he had this year. You know, to only have one hit in 6 innings off him, that was a reflection of, okay, something's not right here. And, you know, you heard post game that night, Dave Roberts, Miguel Rojas talk about it. Like we're not taking what the pitcher's giving us. We're not shortening up our swings when we need to. You know, we're a team that, yes, is built on trying to slug the ball, but as Dave Roberts put it, you have to earn those pitches to slug, and you do that by working better counts, by keeping at bats alive, by getting count leverage, and then by punishing the mistakes you get. Sunday was the much better version of that, right from the first inning, with the walks they drew to Mookie Betts shortening up with 2 strikes and getting a single. Obviously, a similar situation plays out in the 7th that leads to Dalton Rushing's home run. And that's the kind of identity that the Dodgers are going to need to tap into consistently down the stretch this season. They've been able to do it at times, even with the ups and downs that a lot of guys are going through. But too often they've looked more like the team we saw the first 2 nights in San Diego. If that continues to be the case, then there's going to continue to be inconsistencies. So I thought Sunday was a good blueprint for how things need to look, at least until, you know, guys like Max Muncy get back and Kiké Hernandez maybe find some form and Tommy Edman is back. It's still capable that they can go out there and, you know, score 8 runs and hit 4 homers, but they have to do a lot of the little things also to put themselves in the position to have those kinds of days.
Jack, that's a perfect segue to what I was going to get into. You're speaking about Kiké Hernandez. Happy birthday to him yesterday, by the way. Kiké Hernandez on the return, Tommy Edman, Max Muncy, all of that would be huge. Buddy Kennedy stands to be the first person that has to go. But when the other 2 get back, and it's those 3 back in the Dodgers lineup, back on the Dodgers roster, is Conforto still on this team? What's the corresponding moves in your mind?
Yeah, I think the question there is probably, I mean, I would guess yes. Just from what we've seen to this point, there's still some belief organizationally that if he can tap into something closer like he did in July, that he can be whether it's as a regular member of the starting lineup or probably more likely coming off the bench at some point, that he still gives you a threat with the bat. The fact that they've trusted him and given him playing time this long, again, just I think suggests that, you know, they still think there's something there to get out of him. But the way Alex Freeland has played lately, I think at least factors into this a little, because if you're just doing the simple math, right, like Buddy Kennedy probably won't be here once some guys start coming back. Justin Dean probably goes back to the majors or to the minors when guys come back. And then it's Freeland and Conforto, basically. So, I mean, I would still guess they're probably going to stick with Conforto just because it's what they've done all year. And then, you also have an extra roster spot in September that might give you some other options if, you're trying to figure out kind of the margins of the roster. But, Alex Freeland, had a huge weekend, has looked really good with the glove, brings a certain kind of energy that I think has been interesting to see, and especially a tight kind of pennant race environment. So, My guess is that they probably stay with Conforto, but they at least do have another option to consider given the way Alex Freeland has played since being called up.
Yeah, I think there's more to kind of explore there as well because you are welcoming back a number of dudes. Maybe there is Kiké today or tomorrow, Max Muncy, whether it be Justin Dean. It feels like at some point maybe it's time to kind of cut bait on Conforto unless you're going to have him on the bench. But that's where you get into that conversation. Is Hesong Kim better off the bench than Michael Conforto, or is Alex Freeland better off the bench than Michael Conforto? Who offers the most kind of defensive versatility that would benefit this team in October? I guess this is just another way to offer you an opportunity to tell people at some point they will be free for Michael Conforto, with all due respect. But you really do think that they'll hold on to him at least through the month of September?
Yeah, I think. Again, I think that they'll find a role for him, barring some other unforeseen things happening, probably through the end of the regular season. And then it comes down to if he hits at all, like if he has another month that sort of is like July, right? If he can put some things together in September and be productive, I think they'll probably look at him as trying to maybe find a way to have him on a postseason roster. Now, if he doesn't, maybe this problem takes care of itself, like they do. At some point, they're going to have to make some of those tough decisions. And I think even, in the short term, as guys start coming back, I think you're going to really see if he doesn't start hitting here in the next, week or something. I think you'll kind of increasingly see some of his at-bats be limited. But again, I think for what the clear evidence is when it comes to Michael Conforto, and obviously he's been a lightning rod for criticism this year because of just how bad it's looked. When the Dodgers continue to treat a player like him like this, continuing to run him out there every day, continuing to give him opportunities, there's something that the coaching staff, the front office sees or expects or is hoping to get out of him. And I do think the one thing that if you look at the bucket of Michael Conforto, Hae-Sung Kim, Tommy Edman, at least Tommy Edman with a bad ankle, Miguel Rojas, even Kiké Hernandez, like if everything clicks with Michael Conforto, and it's a big if. Like he does offer you maybe a higher ceiling offensively than some of those other guys do with the power and the slug and whatever. Obviously, it hasn't clicked this year, and the likelihood of it happening at this point seems very slim. But at least from the team's perspective, I think that's why you continue to see him get such regular at bats because they're hoping that hey, if he can find something, he's somebody who can provide more of a pop and an impact bat, down the stretch and into October. But there will be a point at the same time that, eventually they're going to have too many other better options if he continues to hit a .180 and, strikes out in big spots. Is only giving you a few home runs a month or on that kind of pace. So I know it's been a frustrating thing for Dodger fans. Part of it is, they haven't really given themselves a ton of better options. Like personally, I think Alex Call has looked pretty good. And I think it would be interesting to see him in more of an everyday role. Just as somebody who can give you more competitive at-bats and better defense. But there's something about Michael Conforto they're still hoping to tap into at least a little bit. The leash is getting much shorter. And, it's going to be for him, if he wants to have a chance to play a role in a postseason run or something, he's going to have to produce something over the last month here.
Yeah, I think part of it too, Jack, is the price tag that comes with Conforto. And I, for one, was all in on the Conforto signing. I was at the beginning of the season. I thought that was going to be a great addition to the lineup, lengthening that lineup, and obviously a good defensive outfielder. And to be clear, it is not Michael Conforto's fault on everything. I mean, this team is not just sitting tied at the top of the division because of Michael Conforto. He's not walking guys. He's not blowing saves. He's not doing things like that. So let's be fair here to Conforto. Let's switch our gear now to Roki Sasaki. Do you see an opportunity, Jack, for Roki Sasaki to have an impact on this Dodgers team this season?
An opportunity potentially. Some of this depends on if there's injuries in the rotation, if there's injuries in the bullpen, and do they think that he could serve a role down there? When Dave Roberts has been asked about this, his answer's been pretty simple. We're going to take 13 pitchers into the playoffs. If we feel like he's one of our best 13, he'll be on the staff in some way, shape, or form. The challenge is going to be, how does he prove himself to be one of the Dodgers' 13 best pitchers, given all that's gone wrong this season, given the injuries, given the fact that while his velo was up in his second rehab start, he still came back in that first one throwing 93, 94. trying to build that trust level. Like even if he does, on his next rehab outing, shows something closer to the premium stuff the Dodgers were hoping to see from him. And even if he does come back and pitch, at the big league level in some role and look good, like the question's going to be, with everything that's happened this year, will the team really be able to, on what will be a small sample size at the end of the season, trust him to go into a postseason environment and have his best stuff and have command and not be liable to walk the bases loaded in an inning or something like that? And I think that will be the challenging part, and why, if the rotation stays healthy, if the Dodgers get all the bullpen guys back, they think they do, I think it will be tough to envision Roki Sasaki on a playoff postseason pitching staff. But at the same time, his stuff is when right. It's like the Michael Conforto thing, but when right, he's probably one of their most talented arms if he can get to that place that we expected. So again, it feels kind of like a long shot, especially if the rest of the pitching staff stays healthy. But the team has been at least more encouraged by what he's done in his rehab and what the second outing looked like, and is hoping to see him back in some form before the end of the season to at least be able to make an evaluation that can allow them to say, okay, is this somebody that we can use in October in some way?
It's funny. Just before you joined, we're having the conversation about maybe there's too many starting pitchers, and maybe Clayton Kershaw has kind of earned a playoff spot over Glasnow, who kind of seems to say there are issues that pop up, randomly in starts and in big moments. Question for you there is, you're putting this lineup together, you're putting that postseason roster together. Are you going, let's say, Game 4 Glasnow, or are you going Kershaw? Just kind of curious about that.
I think, it's a much tougher question than anybody would have envisioned this year.
Yeah.
I do think that Tyler Glasnow would probably have the edge, at least for now. Like, his stuff is just at a different level than Clayton Kershaw's at the moment. He has pitched a lot better since returning from injury. This outing yesterday, or this weekend in San Diego, obviously was his worst one since coming back. But even in that one, it's his command got a little off on him. It led to a situation where the Padres were able to take advantage. But I still think if you look at at least their bodies of work to this point, and you think about what's required in an October environment, you probably still want a guy that is throwing in the upper 90s and can get 8 or 9 strikeouts in a game. But it's going to be incumbent upon him to avoid the kind of things that happened in San Diego this weekend, because all that great talent and stuff doesn't mean nearly as much if you are prone to having an inning where you lose your command and you can't get the ball in the strike zone and you get chased from a game early and give up runs in a pretty unnecessary way, which is kind of how it felt, the other day in that fourth inning, especially when you compare it to somebody like Clayton Kershaw, who for the last couple months now, has been super steady, has been able to command his fastball, play the slider off it, change speeds with the curveball, mix in, a splitter and some sinkers, and like kind of keep the same core version of who he is and add these other little pieces to it to help compensate for the fact that he's still only throwing 90 miles an hour. But he gets quick outs. He's been really efficient. And I think, his start against the Padres back in LA a couple weekends ago was a really good reminder that against a talented playoff caliber lineup and a game that felt like a playoff game, like the Padres were not going easy on him that night. He could still turn around and give you a really quality outing and get soft contact and limit damage. And no, he didn't strike out, 10 guys in that game. I think he only had 3, but he's finding ways to succeed. So I still think ideally for the Dodgers, your rotation's looking something like Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, and then Ohtani. If, he can kind of show that extended outings he can be a little bit more consistent in. But if Clayton Kershaw is that first guy out of the group right now, he's setting a really high bar for what guys that are going to be in the postseason rotation need to do down the stretch. And that's a good problem for the Dodgers to have, that, even if you do end up in a scenario where you either have to start Clayton Kershaw in a playoff game or you're choosing to because of how well he's pitched, like that's a real added benefit. And I think something that, not a lot of people would have been expecting him to be in this conversation at this point of the year.
Yeah, the man's still a GOAT in my mind. I will defend Clayton Kershaw till my last breath. Jack Harris, let's speak path to the playoffs. 31 games left in the regular season. Dodgers right now, they're in first place in the NL West as a tie. 7 games, though, behind the Brewers for that top seed, in the National League, 2.5 games behind the Phillies for that 2 seed. In your estimation, how important is it, Jack, for this team to snatch one of those 2 top spots and get that bye?
I mean, it's crucial. It's not all or nothing. I think, especially if you look at the NL field this year and just some of the other problems that all of these other teams have. There's not going to be any insurmountable path, but it's really easy to just, like, point back at like the 2021 season and see how even in that year a 1-game wild card that was then followed by having to go on the road in the NLDS, having to go on the road in the NLCS. It just adds so many more variables. It just takes such a greater toll on a team that, while it's not impossible to go through that route, we've seen teams, especially from the NL, go through the wild card round and reach World Series over the last couple years. I think a team like the Dodgers, just with how inconsistent they've been in a lot of different areas this year, the fact that the bullpen, they're hoping is going to be fully healthy and fresh and ready to go, but I think it's still going to be a question mark exactly what the state of that group looks like. Having to play 3 extra games, given all that, just would not be a beneficial thing. And then having to go on the road where they haven't been as good this year. And I think, if you look back at that 2021 postseason, especially that NLCS against the Braves, like, that was a big difference, is that even though they won however many 20 game or 18 games more than the Braves that year, they had to go to Atlanta. They lost the 2 early games. And like sometimes in October, those are the fine margins that can dictate things. So winning the division is key, but I think getting one of those top 2 seeds is just as important, if not more so. The good news for the Dodgers is, like you said, while the Brewers have kind of separated themselves from the pack, the Phillies are right there. And the Dodgers have a very easy schedule the rest of the way. Now, so do the Padres, and winning the division is going to be a dogfight. But if they can do it, I think they're going to put themselves in a good spot going into the postseason. The question is, with these last 31 games, can they win 22 of them? Go on the kind of run that they haven't been able to over the last couple months to really not only go into October hot, but also lock up the kind of postseason seeding and path that would make it easiest to defend their World Series.
Hey, man, just like AM, PM, too much good stuff here with Jack Harris on Dodgers territory today. Appreciate you joining us. Guys, make sure, of course, to go read all of his stuff over there in the LA Times. Does a great job covering this team, but we appreciate you joining us. Guys, we will be back after a quick break, and then we're going to talk about a dog. But thanks again, Jack.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Kratz, if you need to pay rent for your apartment and you're not getting anything for it, then you probably haven't heard of Bilt.
You have to pay rent every single month. Why not get some points that you can redeem for other things that are a lot more fun than paying rent, like flights, hotels, Uber rides?
That's right. And it doesn't stop there. Bilt is about making your entire neighborhood more rewarding. You can dine at your favorite local restaurants, and you can earn additional points with VIP treatment at certain fitness studios. And you can also enjoy exclusive experiences that are just for Bilt members. They announce them every month. Bilt is turning a monthly expense into an opportunity to earn rewards and discover the best that your neighborhood has to offer. Your rent is finally working for you, and you can earn points on rent and around your neighborhood wherever you call home by going to joinbilt.com/foul. That's joinbilt.com/FOUL. Make sure to use our URL so they know that FT sent you. Get after it.
All right, let's get another pup adopted here on Last Licks. That's actually Sunny. The reason I had Dalton in the text was because that's when Dalton Rushing hit the 3-run home run, and Clint assumed that the dog's name was Dalton. We do have a dog named Dalton, but this is Sunny. There you have it. Now you're all caught up. Sunny is a shepherd mix. He's 3 years old. He's wonderful. He's healthy. He loves to play fetch. He loves to play with the water hose. He is vaccinated, neutered, great on a leash, great with other dogs. He's being fostered in Huntington Beach. If you're looking for a great pal, check out Sunny. And he's a wonderful pup. So hit us up on GuidrysGuardian.org if you want to learn more about Sonny Boy. No, I texted you, Dalton, because Dalton had that 3-run home run, and we didn't have to send the entire team to the moon.
I thought you did an Alanna thing where you're like, oh crap, I sent the wrong name.
No, you make it sound like I do this. How dare you? How dare you? What's coming up on All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas?
I'm just saying there have been times, guys. We will be live after the game tonight. Welcoming back World Series champion and hero Gavin Lux. Of course, we're not going to have him on the show, but I'm just saying the Dodgers Reds tonight, big series, wild card implications and all that. So myself, most likely myself, Jeff Snyder, maybe there's a Kevin Skinner. We'll be live on All Dodgers YouTube channel. Check it out. Subscribe there and subscribe here while you're nasty, all that kind of stuff. Y'all help us out. That's what I got.
Yeah. Good luck to Gavin Lux and the Reds just after they leave Los Angeles. Yeah. I'd be happy to see if Gavin got into the postseason. That would be great for Cincinnati. Here's my baseball thought for the road. I love this so much. Shohei Ohtani, as we all know, guys, does not interact with a lot of folks. He's on a little bit on the shy side. However, his personality has come out more as a Dodger than it did as an Angel. There was a fan that was absolutely relentless in San Diego, wouldn't stop yapping the gums about all the things when Shohei Ohtani was in the hold, when Shohei Ohtani was in the on-deck circle, when Shohei Ohtani was anywhere to be seen. And then Shohei hits a bomb, his 45th of the season, and then goes over the fan and gives him dap. And it was so funny because the guy's like, oh, man. I mean, that's a moment that man will not ever forget. And good for Shohei for having a good sense of humor there. But it was also kind of like, he's like, shut the hell up, man. Shut up.
That was honestly beautiful. Dave talked about it after the game as well, saying, the guy was very annoying. He was right in his ear the entire game. Of course, Dave is sitting right there. Apparently, this dude paid a bunch of money for those tickets to be in that box. Made the most out of it, but what Dave said, he's like, it was fun. It was good for Shohei to show his personality. I'm pretty sure, Dinger number 45 felt extra special for him. Just to be over there and be like, hey, give him a little one of these.
Zip your trap, buddy.
Zip it.
www.zipit.com. You guys, thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed Jack Harris. Make sure you follow him. Give him a follow at @byjackharris on X. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to check out DodgersTerritoryShop.com. We are open. You can scan it right here or go to DodgersTerritoryShop.com. Thank you guys for watching. Do not forget, Clint and I are back tomorrow night for Dodgers postgame. It's game 2 against the Cincinnati Reds. We will be on a live postgame right here. We appreciate you guys being here as well. Go Dodgers. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.